Today on Leadership Unscripted, I'm joined by Oklahoma State Senator Adam Pugh. Senator Pugh has served our state through multiple chapters of leadership, including military service in the United States Air Force, the private sector, and now he is the chairman of the Oklahoma Senate Education Committee. In his role at the Capitol, where he just told me he just came from the Capitol, he helps shape education policy that impacts so many students, teachers, and families across the state. His leadership journey begins together with service, discipline, and a deep commitment for preparing the next generation for success. Kind of your thoughts a little bit.
Your host, Greg Steely. You already did that.
Welcome to Leadership Unscripted.
That's one of the better ones I've heard. That's really good.
Welcome, sir. It's an honor to have you on the podcast today.
Oh, Dr. Steely, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. These are great topics and very important, and I've been very fortunate to have some tremendous leaders and some tremendous leadership experiences of my own, and I'm excited to share.
Well, that's awesome. We were just talking, the Senator and I, before we get into the first question, we were just talking about John Maxwell, who's our founder, and the Senator was talking, which we hear this all the time. My first book ever was Developing the Leader Within You, which is what everybody says. And now we've made a full circle moment, which was a cool moment for us and your mom, by the way.
That's right. I can't wait to tell my mom. She's going to be so excited. I've got a proud mama, as most moms and dads are. And that was the first leadership book she bought me. And it stuck out to me. And I was just a high school student at the time in the early 90s. And really, it's so fun to think, was it now 3 decades later? I'm going to say, Mom, remember you bought me that book? Well, guess who I talked to? How fun is this?
You could say, I didn't talk to John Maxwell, but I talked to a guy who has sat next to John Maxwell before. And so now I feel like I have sat next to John Maxwell.
That's right.
Now,
that's right.
All full circle.
Yeah,
That's right.
And listen, that means your mom will have to listen to the podcast because we've mentioned her. So
That's
we
right.
know that your mom's listening. I know my mom's listening.
We got you and I, so we got 4.
I doubt our wives will listen because they hear us talk all the time. So we know we have at least 4 people. So that's great. Hey, let's get started. First thing I want to ask you, man, in your bio, it was real short.
Yes.
It's much longer, your level of service and what you've done, not only in the country, but in the state of Oklahoma and really everywhere that you've been. You've led in the military, which we thank you, so much. 8 years, I think you were in the Air Force, I believe,
Yes, sir.
what I read. And
Yep.
And I mean, if you go find Senator Pugh's bio and read what he did when he was in the Air Force, there were a lot of words in there that were way beyond my educational stature of what you did, but served so well for us as a country there. You've served in the private sector and now in the state government. What's a leadership principle that's remained constant across every one of those chapters of your career?
A great question. I'm going to cheat here. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to offer you 2.
Good.
But I'm going to start with what I think the most important one is, and that's to focus on people.
Yeah.
As a young kid, I was very fortunate to have a wonderful mentor. I grew up without a dad, Dr. Steely, and so raised by my mom, single parent home, my sister and I. But I was very fortunate. God always put really, really good people in my life, and one such. Just the focus on people. And he said to me, you lead people and you manage things.
Wow.
And so the idea of putting people and the relationships you build with them at the heart of leadership, I think really matters, because it's hard to consider yourself a leader if you don't have a heart to serve people. I mean, that is what this is about. And for me, and every opportunity I've had to lead, people have been at the center of it. I'm leading those people in some capacity. And sometimes, to be fair, it's not because I had a formal title. And I think that's really important when it comes to leadership. You don't have to have a formal title, elected official or president of a company or whatever it might be, an officer in the military, captain of a sports team, to be a leader. There are a lot of opportunities to be leaders. And if you're focused on serving people, you will find those opportunities regardless of if you've been given the formal position or not. The other thing, which is actually a Maxwell principle, it's the line I use the most from all the books I read. This one I use all the time, Dr. Steely, and it's, you teach people how to treat you. And you do that by how you treat them. And so when you keep people at the center of the leadership principle because you just want to serve them and you love people, and then you are teaching them how to treat you because of the way you're treating them, and it's kind of that golden rule principle, but maybe in even a more pragmatic, modern way of thinking. And that's, I'm going to be honest with you, that's hard in politics because not everyone maybe adheres to that principle, sadly. And so we see a lot of times the way people try to lead or influence on social media or in the digital communications era. And it's not the way I was raised. It's not the way I think God has called me to talk to others and talk about others and engage the world as a person of faith. But I try to keep those two principles at the center of every opportunity I have to lead. And I think it's helped me be successful.
I love what you said about servant leadership. So I want to ask you a question, and we don't have the solution for this, but I'd love for the audience to hear your feedback. I would argue most men and women who enter into the government work, whether it's to run for office or appointed to office, I have to believe at the very beginning, it's to serve people, right? They've either seen a wrong that they want to right, or they've seen people that have been oppressed or not treated well, or they want something to be better. Usually, right? They're not trying to make things worse.
Yeah.
What do you think happens? And this is probably a general leadership question. And you've seen this throughout a lot of different views and venues of leadership.
Yeah.
Where does that change begin to happen with someone when they go from servant leadership is the number one thing to, you mentioned it, to chasing positional leadership as the number one thing?
Boy, that's a complicated answer to unpack. There's a couple things. I think when you're put into a position of authority formally, with a title or a promotion or whatever it might be, elected position, in my case here today as the senator from Edmond, if you don't know who you are before you got there, it's really easy to lose your way as people start, I think, to really use you and use your position to do things for themselves, manipulate you, flatter you. That's something that happens in leadership all the time. You start to read your own press clippings. And so you start to believe, oh, I am smart, or I am the most handsome person in this organization, or whatever it might be. And if you're not grounded in the reality of, I'm just a person who's answering a call and an opportunity, and God can use anybody. He may have called me, and given me this unique opportunity, but he can use anyone. And that's all I am. I'm just someone who answered a call, right? That verse from Isaiah, who, here I am, Lord, send me. And so I just said, I can do that. Right. But if you're not grounded in that before you enter politics or get promoted, it's really easy to lose your way. I think the other thing which people, I hope, stress when they talk about leadership, and this, Dr. Steely, leadership is hard. It is really hard. Holy moly. I joke all the time. I never thought I'd be less popular than I was in high school. And then I got elected. So it is human nature when things get hard. You just say, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'm just going to raise my family or run my business. I'm subjecting myself to criticism, kind of the man in the arena, mentality. And I can just sit in my office for 12 years. We're term limited in the state of Oklahoma in our elected legislative positions. I could sit in my office for 12 years, not accomplish much, not try hard, not put myself out there and be bold in ideas and policy aims, and probably receive minimal criticism, but really not get anything done. Kind of waste my time. And that's just not for me. I have a finite amount of time to make an impact, and God's given me some tool sets. And then really, I just said, yes, God, I can do that when the opportunity is presented. And that does subject yourself to criticism and ridicule, and lots of public stumbles and lots of criticisms when the strong man stumbles, right?
Yep.
And so when that gets hard, leaders can't just say, that's it, throw my hands in the air and say, I've had enough, I'm done with this. That's just not my personality. I was raised by a very strong woman who had to overcome a lot, and she did it with humility and grace. And that always stuck with me as my original hero, my mom. And so a woman who never had a formal leadership position, ever, but was the leader of our family. And I carry on her story and her impact in me because I want to honor someone that I saw as a leader, even when maybe the world wouldn't have recognized that.
So good, man. And what I love of what you're saying is, like, as an elected official, you could run your term out and do nothing. But what you've done is the complete opposite. In fact, and I want the audience to hear, this is kind of a combined questions here. I want them to hear your heart about education, because not only did you not put your hands up and say, I'm out, you actually decided to dive into what could be one of the most divisive things in our country today, which is the future of educating the next generation. How do you as a leader, where did that come from, right? A, and B, as a legislator, how do you balance kind of these big policy decisions, because that's up to you, right? That's real, with the everyday experiences of teachers and students in Oklahoma that they have to go to, which sometimes they don't care about the policy, right? They're dealing with whatever's in the classroom. So talk about your heart for education. You're diving in all in, I mean, really hard in lots of areas, and talk about that, how as a legislator, you're trying to help manage the relationship there with students and teachers.
Yeah, when I first got elected in 2016, we had a $900 million budget shortfall.
Wow.
On an $8 billion budget. My second year in the legislature, we had a $1.3 billion budget shortfall on about an $8 billion budget, maybe even a little less, 7 point something. And so when I got elected, I told the leader of the Senate pro tem, I'll do anything but education, because as you mentioned, people are passionate about it. And they come from different perspectives, whether it be partisan perspectives, personal experiences, very strong feelings. And I love that, because it's the most personal thing we do. Raise our kids, educate them, send them to school every day. It's the most common experience Oklahomans and Americans have, is educating our kids and raising our families. And so people have very strong feelings. I didn't feel at the time equipped, frankly, to be able to tackle those issues. Fast forward after my first term, which is 4 years, I went to the pro tem in the Senate and I said, I've got to be the chair of education, because nobody is leading this discussion. We've become really good at, regardless of party, at telling everyone what we're against, not telling people what we're for.
Good.
And so leaders have to set visions and build agendas, and then build coalitions to get stuff done. That's leadership is. Things can happen by sheer force of will from time to time, but I don't think that's lasting legacy for how to lead organizations. And so I asked the pro tem to be the education chair, and I said, if you let me own this policy area, I will become the expert for the Senate, which is what I want you to expect from me. Become the expert of the Senate in education policy. I will build relationships and travel around the state. I will listen and learn and ask lots of questions and dive in. I'll make hard decisions. I won't embarrass you. You put a lot of trust in me to be the chair of education. I won't embarrass you, but I want to lead. I want to lead this and tell people where we're going to go as a committee and as a state in education. In a state that, frankly, I think we'd like to see our education rankings be elevated and our kids' academic success progress beyond what it currently is. So how did that happen? It started with just starting to, at the core, people. Teachers who are in the classroom every single day, school leaders who are running school districts or school sites as principals or superintendents locally, parents like myself, 3 small kids in the school system who have all these experiences and feelings about what we want from education, and the community and businesses who reap the benefits of an educated population because they need workforce. They need innovators, they need problem solvers, and they need people to step into their businesses and lead them, and then hopefully start their own and be, productive, successful Americans. And so I just started having meetings with people and collaborating. And it was really funny because I think when I first became chair, Dr. Steely, a lot of people were on edge. I didn't come from an education background, though I believe in the value and power of education as the tide that lifts all boats. Because I didn't come from an education background, I think there was a little bit of skepticism. In fact, I even had some school leaders said to me, when we first got started, we were leery of you leading the committee, and you don't always tell us what we want to hear, and we really like that. And I was also the first one to start convening these large meetings and just asking lots of questions and standing there kind of on the firing line and say, have at it. Tell us where we can be better. Tell us how we can get better. And that built a lot of trust because, again, I put people at the center of it, starting with parents and teachers and school leaders. And I just wanted to learn and listen. And I think if you're authentic in that and you're genuine, people see that. And it doesn't mean we have to walk away, and we haven't walked away from every meeting agreeing on policy or bills that I was authoring or voting yes or no on. But I think we walked away with mutual respect, and more importantly for me, like a true love, like a true brotherly love of, me being called in Christ to just love this person regardless of what yard sign they had in their yard or what their, voter registration was or what we disagreed on. And so at the heart of that, kind of that Christ-centered, how you see the world and how Christ has called us to see the world. If I've tried to remain steadfast in that, and I think it's really helped me around the state with those relationships, and then people trust me, and they can tell me what's going on, and I'll listen to them, and I'll work hard with them to do good things in service to Oklahoma.
And that's so good. I love how you said that, you're again back to the main tenet of your leadership, which is servant leadership, right? But in order to serve people, you kind of have to go where people are. You have to be where they are and think where they are, right? But you can't do that sitting in a chair in your office at the Capitol, right? You can't do that, having hope that things get better, but not doing anything about it. So I love the fact that you jumped in. I love the fact that you don't have the education background, right? I mean, that's sometimes having that outside view is what benefits an area. And I love that. What are you really excited about in terms of the next generation in education in Oklahoma right now? Like, what can you share about, man, that territory is really, really looking good for us here?
Yeah, a few things. We're working really hard to align what the education system produces with what do we need. And so I come from aerospace is my industry. I own an aerospace company. I flew in the Air Force, and it's really the only industry I've known for almost 30 years now. And it's our fastest growing industry. So it has been so fun for me to see the aerospace industry, like large companies like Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and their executive leadership come to folks in my position and say, we need all of your engineers. Now, we're going to help you produce engineers, because you don't just show up in college and say, oh, I think I'll be an engineer. I've never taken an algebra class. And so it's been so fun to work with companies I know and respect and have flown their products and worked with their leadership to say, hey, we're going to get into high schools and middle schools and get kids excited about flying. My youngest is 8, and dad moment, he loves airplanes. And I feel like, man, I have achieved something because I've got Charlie to love airplanes and flying. And so now I'm going to make the connection. Charlie, you love rockets, or you love airplanes? You want to build a unmanned passenger plane that can travel at the speed of sound from, New York to Paris and, maybe an hour and a half. You're going to have to be good at calculus, Charlie.
That's right.
So let's connect, let's connect the skill sets we're learning and have the schools be asking the business community, be asking, engaged citizens, what do you want out of this? I wish, Dr. Steely, if we were all in ancient Athens and we could sit around the community pool and just talk about the great philosophers for the altruism of education, great. That's not the society and the fast moving economy we live in. And so kids need skill sets when they are matriculating through high school or career tech and vo-tech system, or when they get to college. They need tangible skill sets so that they can be all that God's called them to be. That's all I care about. I want every kid to have the chance to be everything God's called them to be. And I know uniquely that some of them want to be plumbers, and some of them want to be engineers, some of them want to be entrepreneurs, some of them want to raise their right hand as an 18-year-old and join the Oklahoma National Guard. And I want them to be physically and mentally prepared for boot camp and what that challenge is going to look like. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And we were trying really hard to be unique and be respective of local control, while also saying the state has a vested interest. The country has a vested interest. It's a national security issue for us. We have a lot of adversary and peer nations that want to hurt us economically, militarily, diplomatically, etc. And we need a generation that is prepared in an all voluntary military environment to go fight those wars and defend our interests at home and abroad. And I'm passionate about that. And the school system is a big part of how we're going to achieve that and keep America prosperous and safe.
I love what you're saying about what one of y'all's, one of your focuses, especially in the state's focus, is let's make sure it's not one size fits all, right? Let's make sure we're creating an environment in the classroom through education that kids are prepared. That's what I loved about what you said. Let's get them prepared for whatever that next step is, to make the decision easier and to make the journey easier for them. Education shouldn't be making it harder. It should be making it easier, not just in knowledge and skill, but development and character as well.
Yeah. It's, it's so important that, I was so blessed to have great coaches and great teachers and great mentors that outside of just my academics were also pouring into me. A youth pastor who to this day I still call, who's running a church now out in California, but I still call him just to tell him, man, thank you. Like, I hope you hear this 1,000 times over, but if you only hear it from me, so be it. But thank you. Thank you for investing in me and pouring into me and mentoring me and loving on me. And the impact you made is generational, right? Especially for me, coming from a family of poverty, and it's changed my family tree, having people like that and the educational opportunities afforded me. And so that's so important to have that. And there's a lot of good programs I've been involved in, like being a young life leader or being a, big brothers, big sisters volunteer when I was in the military. We have a great program called Whiz Kids, where we go into inner city schools through my church and we teach kids how to read at an early age who don't have it at home or coming from, tough backgrounds, or probably not getting everything they need and their needs met in their family. And so just programs like that. Again, chances to lead by serving, which is I think awesome. And in the end, what's great about that is it fills me up.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Sure. I mean, that's the great thing, right? I get blessed by spending my time investing in things like that.
I love that. All right, last question. Then we're going to do some rest.
Sir. Yeah.
You're not prepared for it.
Okay.
But listen, you're a politician. You're prepared all the time, right? You're so ready.
That's right.
So last question. What's the one thing you finish your run in legislator and whatever the next journey is for you? I know you've got some things you're working on them too. You finish. What's the one thing you want a student to walk away with from the things that you helped lead in Oklahoma? What do you want them to stick?
Yeah, there are going to be, I hope, Dr. Steely, that there's a lot of faces I've never had the pleasure to meet, though I hope I do, but I've probably never had the pleasure to meet. They may not ever know I put my name on a bill or I impacted them in some way. But I hope when a kid looks back, so I want to go for very future facing, someone in a position like me can look back and say, I had a great teacher, and they won't know, well, it's because we spent a lot of effort recruiting great men and women into the classroom. Or I went to a small school, but I had a unique engineering opportunity or an internship, an apprenticeship that changed my life. I thought I was going to be working on my family's ranch the rest of my life because I was good at fixing John Deere's, but I'm building airplanes now because I had a mechanical skill set. And they won't ever know that, Senator Adam Pugh helped provide that opportunity by making flexible graduation requirements. In the end, what I really hope, however, is apart from any bill, because frankly, what I'm not in the legislature anymore. My successors can change anything I did just by changing the words on the page to do something different. And I remember that. I'll never be more important than I am inside the four walls of my own home.
Yep.
And so what I hope when I get to interact with people, I hope what they see first and foremost for me is someone who loves their family, who's a great dad and a great husband first and foremost, because what would it gain me to have all this other impact everywhere else at the Capitol or in business and have lost my family and lost what would really matter to me most in that process. And so I hope when I interact with people, they see that. They see someone who loves their family and loves serving the Lord and loves investing in his community, and that they remember that man, that guy was just a genuine dude. We've got a saying in my company, my business partner, we call him Jad 1 and I'm Jad 2. We're the founders of the company. He's just a dude number 1 and I'm just a dude number 2. And he's a retired Marine who flew Marine 1 helicopters and has a lot of crazy combat. But we're Jad 1 and 2, just dudes. And so we're just people that, again, answered the call. And I hope people see that sincerity and genuineness and they're touched, maybe inspired by, man, look at this guy. He could have been a statistic. In fact, I should have been a statistic. Really, he should have been a statistic. But he wanted more, and God gave him the ability to have more, and presented him with opportunities, and then he just took advantage of it. Right, that's all it came down to. Can't steer a parked car. I just took advantage of it.
All right, rapid fire.
Yes, sir.
Three questions.
All right.
First question. You get 30 minutes with any leader in the history of time, dead or alive. Okay.
Oh man.
Who would you want 30 minutes with and why?
Oh geez. Well, my political hero, and I've got 3. They're kind of Mount Rushmore for me. It's Ronald Reagan, Teddy Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. However, it'd be Teddy Roosevelt. I am fascinated by his story. A guy who grew up, obviously came from a family of means, but had a lot of physical challenges. His dad used to tell him, son, you're going to be weak, so you better make your brain strong. The guy ends up sailing around the world as a war hero, explores most of the modern world, founds the national parks, discovers species of animals, and just was a big doer and a big dreamer, and really did everything. Chief of police, mayor, governor, president, war hero, sailed around. I mean, all these cool things. And that's kind of me. My wife knows I like to be busy. I like to do a lot of things, and I'd love to just sit out with it. But we'd probably be riding horses or something in Montana. But I'd love to have 30 minutes with Teddy Roosevelt.
I'm with you, man. He's probably one of my top 3 as well. I tell my wife all the time, she completely disagrees with me. I'm like, I could have grown up in the cowboy era. I could have been a cowboy. She's like, there's no possible way to come in that time. But I could see myself on a horse with Teddy Roosevelt hitting the trail, man, and going out and getting some stuff done. Like, I'd grow the mustache. I'd have the whole thing, man. I'd even wear the glasses. I'd even rug around. Like, I'd do it all. That's a great one. All right. Second question. I love Teddy. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Second question. So you don't have any free time, but if you're not in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, you've got 3 beautiful kids. You're not being a great dad.
Yeah.
What does Adam like to do?
Sure.
When he's got Adam time?
2 things, and they go together even though they seem diametrically opposed. I love food. I love to eat, and I love kind of all things fitness, working out, playing sports, playing games, and I like it as I approach 50 years old because I love to eat. So I have to do the other like it. But I teach a boot camp class, so I'm a boot camp instructor. So every morning at 05:30, up at Adam teaching a boot camp class, and I always tell people when they're new to my class, my goal is to make you not want to come back.
Yep.
I'm going to make it so hard you're not going to want to come back, but you're going to want to come back because you're like, damn, that was hard, and I need to be there again.
Making a difference.
Yes, so I love working out. Obviously chair of education, but I served on health and human services for 10 years. Very concerned about healthcare outcomes in the state of Oklahoma, but nationwide as well, because we spend more money than any country in the world. Our healthcare outcomes continue to decline, and it's because it's diet and exercise, Dr. Steely. We've got to figure out how to be a healthy nation, and I'm passionate about that.
That's awesome. All right, I'm going to get the last one. This is going to put you in a tough spot, man. Cool. I think I know how you're going to answer or where you're at, but let's remove ourselves from reality because this may never happen. Okay. National championship football game. University of Pittsburgh. Versus the Sooners.
Yes.
Senator Pugh from Oklahoma, a graduate of both schools, is going to be on which sideline?
Oh, no. I really hope my Sooner friends understand where this is coming from. I've got 3 degrees, as you know, from Pitt undergrad, a master's from Troy State University in Alabama, and then my MBA from OU. You never really stop loving your undergraduate alma mater.
Right.
You just don't. And so I could be political and certainly be sensitive to that. But I love my alma mater and University of Pittsburgh. And here's the thing. OU's had so much success. And
sure.
It's like, can you give me one? The last one was 1977. When Tony Dorsett was prowling the backfields in Pittsburgh. So come on, can I just get one?
I mean, yeah. The guys had arguably the schools had arguably one of the best running backs of all time come from it. Arguably the best quarterback of all time, for fair, right? One of the best defensive ends in Hugh Green ever to play football. So can they not at least get one?
Can I just get one? That's all I'm asking.
The Sooners don't need you. They don't need a senator.
That's true. I'm kind of sick of going 8-5 every year and hoping next year is better.
I think
my OU friend first state.
I think you're serving the great state of Oklahoma by being a servant leadership. And I'm going with the underdog here. I'm going in with Pittsburgh. Okay, I think you guys can understand that. So I love that. I knew that was going to be tough for you. But when I
gave you the non-political answer.
You did.
Like I said, you got to be genuine enough.
You have to. That's what they want. And when you're as loved as much as you are in the state of Oklahoma, you could say anything you want to, and it would be fine. So that's great, man. Hey, listen, we're out of time, man. This has been
so fun.
This has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. I know you've got a lot going on, and I'm really always very aware of times like this where you could even be with your family when you've got a little few minutes. I appreciate you taking the time with us because it's helping people, Senator, when you're sharing your heart of leadership. It's helping not only people in Oklahoma and leaders in Oklahoma, but leaders around the country. And so you'll make a difference in lives you'll never know. And I appreciate you doing that. And it means a lot to us. So thank you so much for being with us. And blessings to you, man, and your future. And I know you got an exciting thing coming up in 2026 in the race, and we're cheering you on to the finish line.
Well, thank you. So fun to be on your show, Dr. Steely. I'm honored, and thanks for pouring into young people and investing in leadership because it really can. I'm an example of it. It can change a whole family tree, which is awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.